July 22nd, 2020. In a normal calendar year, this date bears no historical significance. But in 2020, this date was anything but normal. The Nuggets were about to play the Wizards in the NBA bubble. But the thing is, the Nuggets are down almost all of their guards. All of Jamal Murray, Will Barton, and Gary Harris were all out. And the only guard left on the roster was Troy Daniels. The situation was so bad that in practices prior to the game, Coach Mike Malone had to fill in as a placeholder. Consequently, the Nuggets had to make do with what they had, and ended up making history in the process. With the starting lineup of Jokic, Jerami Grant, Bol Bol, Paul Millsap, and Mason Plumlee, the Nuggets formed the tallest lineup in NBA history. And get this. Outside of just producing some funny memes on Twitter, the Nuggets tall ball lineup actually won that game. But that begs the question, can a tall ball lineup actually work in today's NBA? In today's game, we've obviously seen small ball lineups, with the obvious trade-off being size for spacing and switchability. So, why would anyone in their right mind want a tall ball lineup? Well, with this lineup, you get more size and can consequently win the rebounding battle. But with that being said, there are obvious drawbacks. Having 5, 6, 10 guys out there means that you're gonna struggle guarding the perimeter. Not only that, you're presumably gonna be deficient in playmaking and floor spacing as well. Moreover, this question concerning tall ball isn't a foreign one either, as that actually has been a burning question for the current Cleveland Cavaliers. They just drafted talented big man Evan Mobley in the draft, they just gave Jarrett Allen a $100 million deal for 5 years, and shockingly to most, they gave Lauri Markkanen a lucrative $67 million deal as well. With an obligation to play these three in the rotation, well, you just have to act like you're an agent of chaos. At least, that's what the Cavaliers are doing in playing 3 7-footers in their starting lineup. But before we continue, be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like makes a massive difference for the channel. And also, be sure to stick to the end, because we're gonna have a competition to see which one of you guys can build the best tall ball lineup. Without further ado, let's head right back to the video. So, how does Cavs tall ball even work? Well, Lauri Markkanen does much of his damage at the perimeter as a stretch big, as it is well documented that he isn't the most talented big in the post. This means that offensively, playmaking aside, he can operate as a 3 and space out the floor with Sexton and Garland in the backcourt. But the cause for concern is obviously defensively. In his rookie year, Lauri flat out just wasn't a good defender, and critiques about his shorter wingspan and lack of insane mobility were ever present in his play. However, it's safe to say that he has since improved upon his perimeter defense over the years, a point that has been seconded by Coach Bickerstaff. Based on what he was able to see in practices and in their preseason bout against the Atlanta Hawks, Bickerstaff was quite impressed by Lauri's capability of handling smaller guys at the perimeter and settled on this idea of playing him at the 3. But enough about Lauri, how about the other 2 titans in this lineup? Well, Jarrett Allen is obviously going to be at the 5 since he's one of the better defensive 5s in the league and since he can't stretch the floor to save his life. Thus, that leaves the uber talented Evan Mobley at the 4, who can definitely hold his ground. When you want to talk about NBA unicorns, Evan Mobley is one of the first names that should come to mind due to how versatile he actually is. He has the potential to guard 4 to 5 positions, is a great rebounder already, and has the potential to have a great well-rounded offensive game. At the moment, the 3-point shot isn't the most consistent thing in the world, and he has had to roam around the perimeter for the sake of spacing the floor. But his utility as a switchable defender makes him invaluable defensively. Through 3 games, the Cavs are actually 1-2 with this tall ball experiment. And though this is a very small sample size, the 3-man lineup of Allen, Markkanen, and Mobley is a plus 5.6 through 55 minutes played together. Again, take that with a grain of salt given the small sample size, but it's funny as hell to realize that the Cavs have 2 legendary lineups for the best and worst reasons. So, do I see this Cavs tall ball experiment working long term? Well, they did get an impressive win over the Atlanta Hawks, and Evan Mobley was spectacular. But the thing is, what he accomplished offensively was a lot done in spite of Jarrett Allen being on the floor. And also, it was quite obvious that even though Markkanen did show activity at the perimeter, he was clearly lost at times throughout the game. The spacing can admittedly be wonky at times, and you'd probably like to see more playmaking in the starting five. But the fact that Bickerstaff bestowed faith in these three starting together is commendable, given that he's infinitely more knowledgeable than I am in terms of managing a roster. All in all, we need a larger sample size to see if this tall ball experiment can be feasible for an extended period of time. Important things to note are that if Isaac Okoro can greatly improve his outside shot and fledge out his offensive game, then he'll obviously be a starter for this team. And Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen will become a better duo as long as Mobley can improve upon his three-point shot. But in the meantime, enjoy the moment and witness these titans at work. Okay, now is where we get a bit wild. We're going to hold a competition to see who in the comments section can build the best tall ball lineup using any player currently in the league. Just to be clear, there are no spending caps here, but the average height of your team must be 6'10 or above. And you have to use NBA listed heights. The reason I chose 6'10 is because that was the average height of the Nuggets starting five that broke the NBA record. Without further ado, here is my tall ball lineup. At point guard, I have to take LeBron James. He's 6'9", one of the best playmakers we've ever seen, can hold his own defensively, and can do a little bit of everything. At shooting guard, I obviously have to take Kevin Durant, the best scorer in today's game, and a lethal sniper from everywhere on the court. At small forward, I'm actually taking Michael Porter Jr., one of the most skilled off-ball scorers we've seen in a while, and someone who can give me 20 on stupid efficiency. However, the 4 and 5 are easily the hardest positions for me because I have to keep fit in mind and I have to keep the height requirement in mind. So I ended up going with John Collins and Joel Embiid. John Collins gives me spacing, can operate off ball, and is an aerial threat. And Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. And funny enough, my tall ball lineup ended up at exactly 6'10 for their average height. So I'm throwing it now to you guys. Comment down below your best tall ball lineup using current day players using the rules that I mentioned above. I can't wait to read those in the next coming days, so please fire away and throw me the most creative lineups you can think of. If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like makes a massive difference for the channel. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Hope to see you guys in the next one, and stay tuned.
Oh, these hands are tied. Oh, this heart is tired. Oh, this soul is tired. But I'll keep on, I'll keep on, I'll keep on.